A lot of cold air being bottled up here across the Arctic. Some of that tries to break off as we head into next week. We will see warmer temperatures. This map here, don't judge it too much. It's the 850 millibar temperatures. It's not influenced by the heating of the day, but I want to show you sort of the pattern of how everything is fluidly moving around heading into next week. We've got one shot of some cooler air as we head toward the Great Lakes into maybe Wednesday and Thursday. I think the bigger shot holds off as we head into next weekend. And this right here looks a little more significant. It might try to actually push some cold air into Texas, and this goes, I mean, look, all the way down to the Gulf Coast, even very close to Cuba, one would argue, as we head toward the 23rd and 24th. So possibly a cold Christmas. Hey guys, thanks for checking the video out today. If you're new here to the channel, you're brand new. I'm Travis Roberts. Welcome. I used to be a chief meteorologist on television. Now we're doing these videos here on YouTube. So subscribe, come back, check it out. We're going to look at the ice though right now. First, we're going to move through it pretty quickly. That's moving through parts of Iowa. Rain though south of that, moving into Memphis, into western Kentucky and Tennessee. Too warm for any winter precip here. Some ice spreading north, maybe even mixing with some snow across parts of Wisconsin, and then some heavy snow back here across the mountains of Wyoming. Some of that ice could get really heavy. We got multiple winter weather advisories, ice storm warnings out here into parts of Iowa where we could get up to 1/4 of an inch, maybe even more. Freezing rain, sleet, some snow, and some ice also possible over here into Michigan as that moisture moves in. Eventually, that will transition over to rain. Look at these high temperatures heading into Saturday. A little bit warmer across the Tennessee Valley, also across the south. We're back up into the 50s here, close to Louisville, up to Nashville into the mid-50s, even Knoxville warming up into the 50s. But cold across the north. We're stuck in the teens and 20s across the northeast. I don't know. We might break 32 degrees for New York City up to Boston, maybe. Get inland, though. We're well below freezing here, and it's cold around the Great Lakes, too. We do start to see some changes as we head into Sunday. Now, here's the thing. Look at this cold air being reinforced down the east side of the mountains with warm air moving up along the west side of it into the Ohio Valley. That's going to keep most of the precip rain back here, but there could be some freezing rain on the east and northeast side of our system as it moves off to the east, which is what we're going to dive into right now. Take a look at this. This cold air is going to get trapped here into the valleys of western Virginia, down into western North Carolina, up into the Shenandoah Valley, the Greenbrier Valley, and then north of that also into parts of Ohio. We've got to watch that as it moves north. Again, I don't think we're going to see a lot of ice up here into Michigan, but it doesn't take very much to cause problems, and that would be early Sunday morning. Also, northeast Ohio. Monitor the weather this weekend. Early Sunday morning could be a little bit slippery in some spots. This is still evolving. I'll be updating this as we head through the weekend, but at this point, early Sunday morning looks to be, to me, the time period. As we head into Sunday afternoon across West Virginia, northeast Ohio, we start to see things transition to rain also here into western PA. Some of that cold air holding tight here into the mountains of northern West Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley. I think we start to see that transition, but some of those sheltered valleys that don't warm up too quick in these types of situations may stay ice a little bit longer, and that tries to hold on here into the mountains of Pennsylvania, maybe even parts of New York. We could see some mixed precipitation too here. Something to keep an eye on as we get closer. We'll refine this a little bit more, but it's starting to look a little more impressive to me across Pennsylvania, at least the risk for ice. Something to keep an eye on also here into parts of New York. Across the west, the snow is going here. We've got the heavy snow right now moving into the Sierra, the northern central mountains of California, just getting slammed with snow all the way through Saturday. This snow will really start to add up too here into the mountains. Northern California, especially northeast California, heavy wet snow, 12 to 20 inches, especially above 5,500 feet. Local amounts could exceed 3 feet, and we're talking about wind gusts that could exceed 45, 55 miles per hour at times. When you get down here towards Tahoe, we're talking about 4 to 10 with up to 20 inches above 6,500 feet, and then maybe even more than that once you go higher up. Gusts up to 120 miles per hour. I mean, I can't make this up. This is actually in the National Weather Service's warning. And that would be on the ridge top. So if it's 120 on top of the ridges, clearly it's going to be gusty in the valleys too. And we could see several feet of snow here, and waves on Lake Tahoe could be 2 to 4 feet with a lot of wind around. As this storm moves inland, we're going to see more snow up here into the Tetons, parts of Idaho, Montana, also into parts of Wyoming, down into the Wasatch, some lighter snows down here into the Colorado Rockies, and then our next storm moves in. It's going to bring more wind, more snow to the Cascades, down into northeast California. That rain could be heavy at times here too, and your snow totals, again, look at these modeled numbers, 60 inches showing up here in and around the Sierra. So feet and feet of snow, 78 inches getting printed out on that last run here across the mountains of British Columbia. So with that onshore flow, heavy snow going here. Let's take it beyond this, because I think as we head toward next week, our chances of winter weather Not done. Here's the short term. There's your snow across the west, high pressure, cold Arctic high pressure wedging down the east coast. I talked about that problem, right? That icing possible here in the mid-Atlantic, and then just rain up here into Michigan. And then look, warm enough that we're talking about showers as far north as the Arrowhead of Minnesota, maybe even into parts of Ontario. We could be warm enough for rain. I don't know, maybe even up to the Hudson Bay. So a lot of warm air surging north ahead of this system. As it moves off to the east into Canada, we could see some heavy snow back here into parts of Manitoba, maybe even some heavy snow dropping into parts of North Dakota and the far northern parts of Minnesota. Rain showers moving to the east as we head into Monday. There's our next snow and rain moving into the west, and that's going to bring some rain also into the northeast. Cold front moves through, temperatures start to drop behind that, and then our next system starts to organize around this trough swinging through the middle part of the country sometime Wednesday and Thursday. This is where the models get a little bit different. The European, a little more progressive with this system in the east. We've got more snow, too, falling up across the Canadian prairies. This system looks like it's going to stretch out and bring some decent snow here. And then what happens in the east? Do we get something forming here off the coast that moves up? The European tries to keep these two systems separate, whereas the GFS is a little more aggressive. Behind this, though, it looks like a blast of cold air on really both the global models. The question is, do we get some kind of coastal storm? This is the GFS. It's got the trough. It's got the cold air moving in from the northwest. However, it's got more of an anti-front situation where you get your precipitation overriding the front. But this trough swinging through, I don't know. The GFS goes bonkers here with low pressure moving off to the north and east and then dropping some snow. And then look at this trough, how strong it gets here heading into Saturday and Sunday. As this trough gets close to the coast, energy just boom, blows up. And now you got a big snowstorm forming here along the east coast. Again, that would be too warm for the cities, but that would put some heavy snow inland. Do I believe this? No, I don't, because the GFS ensembles, which would be flat, at least it would take those operational runs and flatten everything out, but it does, at least heading in toward Thursday and Friday, show the potential for some cold, some snowy weather, and then heading into next weekend, kind of all over the place. But with this trough in the east, I don't think you can turn your back on the possibility of something developing on the east side of this trough. Where does it go? Do we actually see something develop? I don't know, but I can tell you the pattern is a little more favorable. I mean, right, you don't have this huge ridge here, and you don't see zonal flow where everything's moving east to west, at least on the ensembles. We do start to see some changes, I think, as we move after Christmas, where things do start to flatten out a little bit. But I don't think that's the end. I think we turn cold again. And I was looking at some of the GFS ensembles. Only a few members have a heavy snowstorm at this point. Let's see if this picks up. Again, I'm not looking at where it's snowing. It's just that some of them are picking up on it. And if you look at it, you do see a lot of color here. So I think snow chances are going to be around and we're going to get cold. Now, let's go beyond this. Once you head really into the 25th, 26th, 27th, there's a lot of question as to does it stay cold? I don't think it does. I think we warm up a little bit and then we just get ready for this cold air to move back down. That's your January cold, and I think it's going to be a cold one. That's just me. All right. That's all I got. See ya.